yourself in and get ready. The leaders in NBL Supercoach are incoming, giving you the ultimate insight to help you dominate your mates and climb up the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight NBL Show with your hosts, Matrix and Hammer.
Oh, hello and welcome back to the Insight NBL Show. I am your host, the Supercoach Matrix, here with my co-host, Hammer. Mate, played in a charity golf day on the weekend.
Did you really? How'd you go?
Yes. I hit the ball really well, but the either the sun got to me or the beers got to me because it was a huge day.
Massive. I don't doubt the beers were involved at all, mate. But that's not the only massive thing about your weekend. You dropped a massive 426.
I did 428. Give me some credit.
Ooh.
But into 275th at the moment. So look,
Tracking very nice.
I've been patient. Couple of down weeks. Got one of the captains right. Sobe is king, guys. He's gone up 100k.
Oh man, you can put a cat in the oven, but don't make it a biscuit, man. But look, that's pretty big.
How was your week,
mate? I thought I was going big, and it just really petered off towards the end. I came in with 400. Captain Doolittle, thought I was absolutely onto a winner here when I saw White go down. I saw Hurt having a bit of a down week, but he kind of shit the bed in the second half. So look, salvaged 400 out of an okay round. I'm sitting in. Let me have a look here. From memory, 643rd. I jumped up 200 odd spots this week.
That's good. 400 would have been in the top couple of percent, wouldn't it?
Top 4%. Sitting in the top 3% overall.
Perfect. So that's how our weeks went. Look, while we're talking about teams, let's get really fresh, straight in to our squeeze of the week. I know I'm throwing you around with the breaking news, but look, the Standard Squeeze have been our long-time sponsor. They give away products every week. They give away a squeeze pack, some of these packs over my left shoulder, every single week, giving away the second best weekly score in NBL Supercoach. So join our competition, get in there and win yourself a squeeze pack, because if you miss out on the $1,000, like Lisa, coach of Riverball, did with 470 points, she was 6 points out from the top scorer, and she captained Jack White, had Doolittle, had Pinder, had Sobe, had Milton Doyle, had big scores off the bench: Rob Lowe, Ty Webster, and Benny Henschel. Even a little spicy Majok Deng there. And look, had a really good score. The difference between her and the top score was just having Chris Goulding. So look,
man, and who would have picked that?
Look, not me.
To be fair, look, Bubbles was insane. That third quarter, he caught fire. I think it was 22 points in 4 minutes or something like that. It was phenomenal. You're not going to see that every week, but we've always talked about how irrelevant Chris Goulding is fantasy-wise. 46 points, 52 Supercoach points.
Yeah.
He literally doesn't do anything else.
I'm not going to say it's disgusting, but it's kind of gross.
Yeah, look, you can't blame anyone for not taking the bloke.
No. Look, and that's where some of the pod hunters come out. I think Lisa's into about 3,000th right now. Yeah. So, look, congratulations, Lisa. A huge week. Pop into our DMs. I think it's Supercoach with DR's wife. So, pop into our DMs, Lisa, and we'll help you out there. Mate, the breaking news. Holy moly, there is some big storms out here. But let's head into some breaking news.
It's time for some news from around the league.
think my whole
Look,
house just shook.
yeah, I'm starting to feel the rumble too, but I don't really have any breaking news other than you were right. Sobe's gone up 100K and Bubbles almost dropped 50. You got anything else for us?
Jack White, that injury, his night finished a little bit early. I'm pretty happy because I was a Doolittle captainer,
Yeah.
even as an owner of Jack White. But yeah, just something to watch on. I'm not going to call it Supercoach relevant because when we have a look at the schedule, and we do have a new schedule out over on our Patreon and our new Instagram account, but look, it's time to get off these Melbourne assets anyway. Could be a blessing in disguise when it comes to Jack White.
Yeah, look, I've held since day one. I'll be getting off him this week. For a guy who had a little slow start to the season, we did pick him as a cash counter and a must-own guy. He's done well. He's gone from, was it 230 he started out, and he peaked last week about 337, maybe a bit more, 377?
Yep. Yeah, a bit more.
Like
Yep.
Yeah, so look, he's been great. But like all good things, they must come to an end. And this is what tonight and Wednesday is going to be about. Where do we go next?
Just want to show up a little bit of handiwork. That's something that I had been working on. So that's the final schedule. I've actually put on our new Insight NBL, and I'm trying to look after you guys when it comes to Instagram. We had our Insight Fantasy Sports page, but we found, quite often we would post up something about our NFL show or our AFL show or something that wasn't super relevant to everything. We'll still have that other page, but we're going to have an Insight NBL specific Instagram page that'll have all Hammers, myself stuff. And tonight only, hop in there, comment on our yeah, I know. I told you what, it's rumbling here. Comment on our most recent posts today, and you go into the draw for our Patreon subscription. So pop in, like it, comment it, and look, win a prize.
Yeah. And probably an extra prize for anyone who can pick up on Matrix's mistakes after he stuffed the schedule for the first release this year. So if anyone wants to go and proofread it, you're more than welcome.
I did actually get Mick Dell from the AFL show to proofread it for me today after a little balls up there. Look, let's head into the games that were. It was. Look, there wasn't as many close games as I usually like. With our first game, and I'm wearing actually a Sobey Bullets jersey today, so I've just got that out for Sobey. But Melbourne United took care of the Brisbane Bullets, 120 to 103. Jack White captainers would have been absolutely chuffed after watching this one.
Yeah, especially when the live stats and the whole broadcast went down for the last 5 minutes. That must have been when he did all his handiwork, because he came good late, and we've seen this throughout the year. He starts slow, but sometimes he just salvages a decent score going big in the last quarter. And I'm surprised they played him as long as they did, because look, the game was just about over at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think it was within about 10. We had to wait for that last, I think, 3 minutes for what felt like an age. They ended up just playing it basically behind closed doors. I think they brought up in a live broadcast later on. But yeah, look, him and Rob Lowe with the 43 Supercoach points. It was all happening from that middle position, which is giving me a little bit of cause for concern about bringing in Tyrell Harrison before his dream run. Yeah,
look, Terrell was a guy we flagged very early on in the preseason as A, a cash cow, and B, someone we wanted despite the schedule. He has been probably borderline disappointing, would you say? Before this last round, I don't think he scored under 28 a game outside of that very first round where we unfortunately captained him. He's been consistently mid, but look, there's not a lot of options at centre now. We're looking at Keanu Pindu, who's having a down week. We're looking at probably Terrell Harrison moving into a bit of form. New Zealand are on some pretty good run of doubles, but who do you look to there? You got Freddie Gillespie. So, look, is he the best of a bad bunch? I don't know. We'll have to look into it a bit further. But, yeah, Melbourne was the story in this one.
It was Chris Goulding with 27 Supercoach points. Not the best round of the game, but again, scored 3 assists and then was donuts the rest. Doesn't get too many turnovers because it counts as a missed shot when you've never passed the ball before.
100%.
One guy...
Hey, talk to me about Keandre Cook.
Yeah, he's the guy that I could talk about. 23 Supercoach points, 5 assists, a block, a steal, I think 2 rebounds, no turnovers. The man is moving up into relevance. Comes into next week with a 35 break even. And and I'm seeing some comments in the chat, people talking about the Hickey owners finally suffering for us traders. Well, I would say if you did have somebody like Hickey, it's a pretty easy move to Keandre Cook with an absolutely golden draw incoming.
Yeah, look, Hickey, I don't think he'd be too disappointed. I held him since day one. He started at $106,000. And tell me what he's topped out at this week, Matrix. I just want to hear it one more time. Look,
he is topped out at $300K. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, so you're talking about Sobey making 100 bag. This guy has made $200K. Has been phenomenal. Oh, look at the lights flashing at your place. You are copping it.
It is absolutely pizzling down here. Yeah. It's raining like Chris Goulding shooting threes.
The lights don't go out when you hold Hickey and make good decisions.
Thanks. I've sorry, I can't hear you from up here at 200th.
Hey, Keandre Cook, are we seriously considering this guy? I mean, one hot day doesn't make a summer, does it?
No, but I do think with the 35 break even on a double, you can't sort of go wrong. I think his floor is kind of that 15, 16 points. If he put up 2 absolute stinkers, I think that he would still be about the same money, which gives me no risk.
Yeah, and on a round where we're pretty thin at guard, and we're probably considering playing some guys on singles potentially, it's not a bad option. And at the price, you can easily hold on the bench. So you can make do for the next round before they hit their real good string of doubles.
2 more to bring up. Josh Bannon, 28 Supercoach points. He's looked really good. He has a 5-round average of 27, averaging 25 for the year. About value, really?
Yeah, potentially. Look, at the forward spot, we've got some room to move at the moment. Now that we're getting off Jack White, we're potentially getting off Matt Hurt. If you are an owner of Pinder, he's got the centre eligibility, which could open up another forward spot. Bannon is not the worst option.
And Casey Prather, for a bit of flexibility, forward guard, went up to about 230K, has dropped a little bit back down to 213K. Yeah, I still don't think that he's the worst option. I think he just had a couple of bad games. We got off him because we bought him as a 130K cash cow. I wouldn't even hate bringing him back in.
Yeah, look, he's someone I've considered. The flexibility is good. He is on the cheaper side. I don't really think he's going to be startable. Maybe in a pinch. I think you can do better than that. But if you were to set and forget on your bench, if you had a spare guard spot, if you were now, pivoting from an Angus Glover, if you're pivoting from someone like that, that could be a look.
Even I saw some teams that had like a Shea Illy or a Goulding or somebody like that. Like, you know what? In a week or so, it's double single into. I'll just bring it up. It's double single into a huge stretch of doubles there. We can wait a week on maybe 1 or 2 of these guys. You don't want to head into round 11 and just be fielding a team of Brisbane Bullets because they haven't really been convincing this year. No. But you can wait a week.
Yeah, and look, the good thing about round 9, there is only 2 teams on the double. So it's you're not going to expect teams to field a whole team of doubles. A lot of us are going to be reasonably heavy on Perth, given they've got a pretty good stretch. But other than that, it's really a week where we're starting to pivot away from the teams we've been on. So it's a week you can probably get away with playing a premium on a single.
Mate, Perth Wildcats took care of your jack jumpers. I know they've been experiencing some difficulty off the court and on the court, but Milton Doyle had a blinder of a week and really rewarded owners.
Yeah, look, it dropped for once. He played the 35 minutes, and we've talked about this all year, that he is consistently playing big minutes. It just hasn't really all come together for him. But look, 11 of 21 from the field, I think it's 52%. It's better than he shot all year. And he ticked it across the rest of it. Only had 3 turnovers, but the steals, the assists, and the rebounds all helped him come in with, I think it was 41 in the end for this game.
Yep. Yeah, and look, you got to scroll down a bit to see your boy Ruben Tarangi, who, to give you your flowers, said might be the beneficiary there. I mean, scoring 20 from a guy like that at 100K, look, relatively decent.
The flowers, though,
they
don't smell too good when I took Krislovic.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Again, 2 years in a row. What am I thinking?
You did it again.
I did it again.
Fuck you. You told me Tarangi. Okay, cool.
If you took Tarangi, you would have been very happy.
You got to scroll down a long way to get to Tassie players because they scored about as many as my C grade team in the last week or so. Let's have a look at Perth Wildcats, who Tasmania are kind of a bogey team for me in general. Like, people score poorly against them and they score poorly. It's just games that I hate. But Doolittle, this game really suited him. 37 Supercoach points. Did a bit of everything, really. 12, got the double-double. Yeah.
We talked about this a fair bit last week. Tassie are weak at the 4 spot. And so I'm always looking, and we know that it's low scoring, but when you got some elite foremen, whether it's Jack White, whether it's Christian Doolittle, potentially Cooks when he was still playing the 4, they're guys I like to target against the jack jumpers because Tarangi or Majok Deng or any of those sort of guys they're experimenting, I'm going to say, at the 4, they can't guard these guys. So 18 and 11 was a really good return. Only the 1 turnover, which is really nice compared to his second game. Doolittle as a captain was a really good option, I thought. And after this game, I was looking at my team thinking, I'm on here. This could be a really, really good round to make some moves.
He scored well late. I was actually still really worried about Jack White and White captain after watching this one too. Yeah. Ty Webster, 27 Supercoach points. Keanu Pinder, 22 Supercoach points. And Ben Henschel, 21 Supercoach points. All did a little bit of everything. I think we saw a lot more assists than I expected from Ty Webster. I kind of expected Ben Henschel to be that guard. But, yeah, look, Ty Webster in another good one. He has repaid owners who brought him in first, dropped a heap of cash, and then risen in cash again. I don't know. Ty's a weird one.
Yeah, he's inconsistent, and when you match that with how inconsistent really feels about him, it's a bit of a flag for me. I'm not comfortable with the consistency, but Ben Henschel was one for me. I started him. I think a lot of us had that dilemma. Do we start Henschel on a double or PJC on a single? And after 21 from Henschel in this one, I thought if PJC goes for 40, Henschel only needs a 19 in the second game to match it. And after 21 here, I felt reasonably comfortable, and it ended up being the play. If you didn't make it, though, you wouldn't be that upset. It was only about a 5-point differential.
Yeah, and like, who could have expected what the New Zealand Breakers threw up in the one a bit later on?
Yeah, for sure.
Sydney Kings took care of Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. This was actually a lot closer than the 5-point score suggested. Come right down to the wire. Jalen Adams was absolute cooking. Xavier Cooks was back to his best. We saw a 25 from Sobey, a 27 from Malik Lewis. Got a fair few of them through some late blocks, I think.
Yeah.
But Matt Hurt, 24 Supercoach points. I think that was his lowest of the year.
Yeah, it was pretty ordinary. I think he may have even been one of the most captain guys this week. We definitely gave him some consideration. Um, was this the game though where he had 19 in the first quarter and then did nothing after that?
No.
No,
He only scored 6 points in this one.
Yeah, 19 Supercoach points. I'm probably thinking last week, but yeah.
Yep.
Sobe looked good. Didn't translate as well as I would have hoped, but look, we were expecting Derek Walton to be back. He didn't suit up for this one, and yeah, there's probably not a lot else to write home about here.
Yeah, in typical Sobe fashion, he did lose 8 points in turnovers. So yeah, and that's one of the reasons that you. 19. Yeah, that's one of the reasons that you haven't been loving him as an option. But you know what? Yeah, it doesn't matter how many shots you miss in Supercoach. This ain't fantasy anymore, champ. But Angus Glover, probably the one there. Bit of a cheapie. He's been great. Comes into next week with a -12 break even. Probably, to be fair, probably the guy that's playing the point guard, realistically.
Yeah, look, he has been, but this is a team that has been without Derek Walton Jr. DWJ came back in that second one, off the bench, very limited minutes, limited role. Do you mess with the chemistry? Because, look, they're rolling with Glove out there, and he had an absolute blinder a weekend, taking on his old team, the Kings, and then he went on with it in the second game. But I would imagine sooner rather than later that those minutes transition further towards Walton Jr., but I wouldn't expect all of Glover's minutes to go. I think he may end up being that six-man sort of guy. So he's probably at his price peak or close to, but he's still an option.
Yeah, absolutely. Rob's Punk in the chat just before we move on was saying Sobe could lose 100K when Derek Walton Jr. comes back. Absolutely. He was a 3-week play. That's completely fine. Comes in with a 24 break even this week. I'm even considering moving him on this week, regardless of if Derek Walton Jr. has some limited minutes and everything like that. He's done his job. It was always just a 3-week play for me.
Yeah, look, for me, I'm ready to move off him. If it's not this week, it'll be next week, just due to some other trades I need to make. But did you actually watch closely when that second game with Walton Jr. and Sobe? They didn't play a lot together still. I don't know if his new coach has been worded up or he's seen that they potentially can't coexist, but like we'll get to the second game when we get to it. But Sobe was phenomenal there. But you could definitely see there were still some of those issues lingering when they were both sharing the court together.
Yeah, absolutely. Mate, talk to me about the Tassie Jack Jumpers, because this was a bright spark in what's been a really rough season for you guys. Hammer is a Jack Jumpers fan for those of you playing at home.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, look, unexpected. I didn't expect it. I didn't even tune into a quarter time and then thought, we're on here. But this was a really, really good game. And, well, from a Jack Jumpers point of view, Milton Doyle had a down game here after having the 41 Supercoach points in the last one. He only put up 3 actual points here. Came back to the form he's been showing lately. My main man, Krislovic, went 0 of 7 again. Had 9 rebounds.
Owen Krislovic.
He's got an 0 of 14 weekend. Perfect. But look, Crawford popped up and the bench was big. 18 for Deng, 18 for Sword. He finally decided he's ready to play. But more the story of this one was New Zealand, wasn't it? That they just didn't get it going. No,
and look, Parker Jackson Cartwright in his worst game, at least I didn't start him. Like, I kind of feel like I've dodged a bullet. Tassie brings everybody down into the mud when they play. Like, just the way, like, even Craig Sword and your Drimiches and your Doyles can play. Look, yeah, just dragged everybody down into the dirt, made them play with them, and 60 points. That would have had to be one of the lowest scores of the year. But there's a silver lining to this. Like, this is why I'm so high on PJC. There's a game where they're not even in it, where everyone's playing like shit, and he still plays 32 minutes.
has the 15 points, and has 9 assists. I mean, how do you have 9 assists when no one else has even made a shot this game? This guy's
Yeah, he must have hit Freddie Gillespie for 4.
Yeah, I reckon. Matt Mooney was the other one. We were really high on him, or at least I was. He's had a couple of down games. He had a bit of an altercation in this one too. 6 turnovers killed him. He's going to come back down to earth price-wise over the next 2 weeks. And I'm going to probably look to target him when New Zealand get back on the doubles streak.
It's only next week. Sorry, not this coming week.
Yeah, one after.
But they only had 2 singles in a row. As somebody that's kind of stashed a couple of New Zealand breakers, pretty exciting, really.
Yeah, definitely. Can I just mention again, and I've said this all year long, how disappointing has Jonah Bolden been? How did this guy ever play in the NBA?
I don't know. I think he's just a good build. You know how people come out of drafts and they just draft on potential? He never really played that much, let's be honest.
No, and nor should he. It's going to be very interesting to see if he even sticks in the NBL. I don't think there's too many teams that are going to be seeing value in him now. He's been given every opportunity. All the excuses in Sydney. He showed some flashes last year, but the job share and stuff, that's gone. And he's performing worse than ever.
At least Aaron Baines got bitten by a spider and was 43 years old for his drop off. Jonah Bolden's not even that old.
Yeah. Look, Menenga looked good in this one too. Lopez had the 16 Supercoach points here, which was enough to keep his price heading north. Probably not the 50s he was dropping last week, but look, all in all, they still scored reasonably well for the guys we'd held.
Menenga and Lopez are coming in with a -3 break even and a 1 break even into a single, into another double. Probably a hold for another couple weeks.
I think so. I think it's a week where you can actually do a bit more with your starters and move on your whites. I looked at boosting this week, potentially getting out White, Hurt, and Hickey. That frees up over $1 million in cash. There's a lot of damage you can do there, which is going to allow you to let just Kareem Lopez and the likes marinate in your bench another week or two.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's talk about the Goulding game. Melbourne United 106 took care of the Wildcats 97. That was Perth were actually up basically all game until the 4th. And Goulding had 25 points in the 3rd.
Yeah, it was Melbourne outscored Perth 32-12 in the 3rd quarter, and Goulding had 22 points in 4 minutes. He turned the game himself. It was an absolutely phenomenal display. And this is coming from someone who does not like Goulding's game at all. And all you could do was sit back and just admire an absolute clinic.
Yeah, special, and got to the ring. And if you watch a couple of the possessions, the very few that he didn't score at, Perth were just running 2 people at Goulding, and it just left somebody else wide open. Even when he wasn't scoring, he was the reason that Melbourne scored in that second half.
For sure. And it started to just look like beautiful basketball, didn't it? Those little slips, some misdirection plays. They were so focused on Goulding torching them. But do you get disappointed like I do when you're 46, man? If you're not going to get 50, you may as well have 12.
Congratulations on your 92 in cricket. Raise the bat.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, they put out a little thing on the NBL socials today about the top scoring games in the 40-minute era. And there were some interesting ones in there. I think number 1 obviously was Bubbles back when he was with the Melbourne Tigers with 50. There was a 49 from Kirk Penny. 46 from Goulding. I think another 46 or 45 from Creek and Derek Walton Jr. There was some good names in there.
Yeah, I remember Creeks, actually. That was a huge one.
Yeah. And 45 from Cotton. I thought he would have, tickled the 50 at least, but not to be.
He's consistent.
Yeah.
Cotton consistently scores really well. Keanu Pinder, 34 Supercoach points as well. 14 and 10, got the double-double bump with only the one turnover. Had a really consistent weekend, which is not something we've been used to for him. I
No.
think at late 200s, he's still a hold through. Like, he's got a 3-round average of 47, but his average score for the season is 24 with
Yep.
a 49 break even heading into 3 double-doubles. Like, he's a hold through this period.
Yeah. Look, I'm even considering him as a buy. Like, you've talked the last couple of weeks about how, you're never going to see this bloke again sub 300. Turns out we have. And look, he had that 34, which is going to help his 3-game average. There's not many options at centre. They had the 3 doubles in a row. I'm very much considering bringing him in this week.
Almanza.
Mm.
You know what? The center position in this one did score really well.
Yep.
Despite Chris Goulding just nailing everything from inside. He had his best game,
Yeah. And he
I'm
started.
presuming, of his professional career. Yeah.
Yep.
And looked good.
He was good. I had him as my bench center in this one. Look, played the 23 minutes, 19 points, 7 rebounds, a couple of turnovers, but had the 2 blocks as well. He was looking great in the first half, and then the second half he started to. It was assertive. He looked for his shot, but he threw up some funky looking floaters. There's some odd shots in his repertoire.
Does he have the best accent in the league?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think you're quite partial to an accent, aren't you? It's very Puss in Boots, this guy, isn't it?
Yes. It's very flamboyant.
Is he French now?
He is now.
Good.
I can't do a Spanish accent.
I'm not even going to try. Hey, Doolittle was one we were looking at closely as we both captained him here. An incredible first half, and then came out of the gates again early in the third. Look, there was a bit of foul trouble, or they just went small ball with Bowen on him. Looked good for him to start with, but then he just heated off something chronic. His last probably quarter and a half was brutal. 6 turnovers, reduced what was going to be a great score into something pretty average.
He was weirdly the guy bringing the ball up the floor. I found a lot of the time. He actually wasn't getting that many rebounds. It was like Pinder and Almanza pulling the board down, and then Doolittle was the guy bringing it up. Like when you've got your Windlers, when you've got your Henschels, when you've got your Websters, all these guys, I just don't understand why they were doing that, and probably cost them the game.
It definitely looked deliberate though. Like it was by design. It wasn't just he got the rebound. It was obviously a ploy to go with a point forward because of whatever reason. Maybe it was to draw one of the bigs away from the hoop or something. But look, I was really gutted that when Jack White went down, and I own Jack White as well, but I really thought Doolittle would have gone on with it and just made absolute mincemeat of Bowen and whoever they threw at him. But he ended up with 60 for the round compared to White's 62. Didn't quite reward us the way he probably should have.
Lots of questions in the chat, and that's I suppose why you watch a show like this. Jack White got injured in the other one, so you've basically just got to trade him out this week.
Yeah. So flying towards him, just what we talked about. Doolittle killing it in the first half, just went missing in the second.
Look, commiserations to those who brought in Flynn Cameron. I don't mean to say I told you so. There's just too many mouths to feed at guard. And look, I'm pretty happy with a Henschel 22, a Webster 18. Honestly, if you hold a Marcus Lee, his 17 Supercoach points, he was in lots of highlights in this one. Those dunks were sensational.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, I think we're going to keep in mind with this one too. Cotton is still out. The way they're talking, though, it seems like he may be coming back sooner rather than later. But look, I just want to think about what we would have done had Cotton been available, because we wouldn't have really had Henschel as the option, to at least start the way we have been.
I definitely wouldn't have been holding Henschel and Webster, almost hedging my bets, hoping that one of them scores well every night.
And with the amount of
But
money you have to pay up for Cotton, it would very much change the makeup of our teams, I think.
we're going to get a 300K Cotton when he's back.
Yeah, potentially. If they ease him back in.
Yeah. Well, he's 300. He's like 300 now, nearly. He's not that high.
Yeah, perfect.
Cotton
Probably
is
just in time for their run to
340.
finish.
Yeah, he's 342K. You might get him for a double still. And I'm going to take that risk at 340K.
Yeah, why not?
Mate, Southeast Melbourne ripped Cairns Taipans to shreds.
Yeah.
Still no signs of Taron Armstrong, though.
No signs of Taron Armstrong.
Did he play?
Did you not watch this one?
No, I missed this one.
No, Taron Armstrong played. He played the 23 minutes, 11 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 5 turnovers. He was
Ooh, was he
a
asked?
little rusty. And not only was Armstrong back, they also had Tanner Groves come back in. He played the 9 minutes and looked a bit ordinary. And the import replacement, Deshaun Taylor, played as well. So, look, probably the more relevant one out of this, not many of us were holding. Some guys took Higgins Titcher, started, played the 14 minutes, didn't do a hell of a lot, but probably did enough to give the little price rise guys were after. I think we need to be conscious, though, that he is a development player. So there are some rules around when and where they can play. So, look, I'd be getting off that one sooner rather than later, having locked in a couple of price rises.
Jackson McCoy still played a good bump of minutes.
Yeah, a lot of guys have been talking about this one. I think he had like 31 Supercoach points. So anyone who held him is going to be very happy with themselves. This was good considering Armstrong was back. However, we were without Rob Edwards through suspension. So there's another 30 minutes that are going to have to come from somewhere. But look, schedule-wise, we're probably not even talking about Cairns right now, are we?
Nah, let's give Sobey's flowers. 14 points, 9 assists, just enough to miss out on the double-double. 42 Supercoach points in a masterclass. Ripped Cairns to shreds. But when you have a look at, Rob Edwards being out, them working 3 guys back into the rotation, then, hey,
Look,
what are you going
the
to do?
new coach for Southeast Melbourne, I've been impressed with until now. Why do you bring out a bloke on 9 assists? Does this guy have no concept of Supercoach? He's only played the 25 minutes. Give the guy some more.
He's not a super coach, this guy. He might be a good one, but he's not a super coach.
No.
Angus Glover, 35 super coach points for 22 and a couple of assists as well. As we said, playing a little bit at the point. Malik Lewis just had a big weekend all round, and we welcome him to the 200 club.
Welcome, Malik. Yeah, he doesn't need a lot of the ball to put up some scores either. He's found a home in that starting lineup, I think. He really gives them the balance and a look that they desperately needed. Walton Jr. came off the bench in this one, almost played 18 minutes, 8 points, 3 assists, 2 turnovers. Look, he didn't look too bad. He's working his way back in. It's obviously a new team, new system, since the departure of Mike Kelly. But look, there's some signs of life there, and he's going to continue to drop cash as well. But the schedule's looking pretty putrid for the Phoenix from here on out.
Yeah, we got to stay away from them for a bit. In one that you can watch Adelaide 36ers games and not be worried about Supercoach.
Yeah.
And Kendrick Davis and Montrezl Harrell are just highlight reels.
I am so high on both of them. I've been talking to some guys who are higher than me in the rankings, probably around, your ilk, who are thinking about bringing in Kendrick Davis this week. I don't love the play this early, but he was just phenomenal. The way he's just across the stat sheet, he's growing week to week. We were so high at the start of the season, and I think we were justified in being so.
And we talked about his G League stats, how he averaged nearly 10 and got to 10, but like assists are just worth so much more than rebounds when we talk about Supercoach. So you get 2 for an assist, you get 1 for a rebound. So not only did he get 20 Supercoach points just from assists, he also got an extra 5 from the double-double. Look, 16 points. We've seen him score better than 16 points before, but
yeah,
just
averaging 20 a game. He's second in the league behind Montrez, who's averaging 20.2. He's an underrated defender too. The 2 steals, great. And he played 34 minutes in this one. Him, Montrezl Harrell, DJ Vasiljevic, all 34 minutes apiece. But tell me about Trez, man. This is another monster from the monster.
Did you see that dunk over? I think it was Xiang Li.
Yeah, and he
Holy
let him know all
goodness.
about it too.
Oh, you know what? Apparently he was turning and letting and actually getting into Darius Days on the bench after that one.
There was a bit of back and forth between those two throughout the game, if you didn't notice. But look, Adelaide are just, worth the price of admission. They're a big ticket this year. Look, whether they go all the way or not is another story, but God, they're fun to watch.
Yeah, my favourite team to watch at the moment. Froling, 37 Supercoach points. DJ 3J, good. Hump continues to be good. We see Trey Kell come in, and that's fine. We see Darius Days underperforming, so Lockie Aldrich got a little bit of a bump in this one.
Yeah.
But we have to scroll a long way down to look at Supercoach hero, Davo Hickey.
Yeah.
It's time to go, Davo.
Yeah, I think it's time to go. This is, you don't want to hold on too long. He's peaked. I don't think we're going to get another price rise out of him with Kell back especially. But you'd expect him to be sixth man. He was way down the order coming into this game. I thought he must have been sick. We didn't see him until almost halfway through the second.
You know what? One of the reasons I traded him out, because when he was in that sixth man role, I was actually really disappointed in him. Just the way that he come in to try and fit after Harvey and Kel sort of went to the bench or was playing with one of them. I was disappointed, and I got reminded of that watching this one. Adelaide were fantastic. Let's not take that away from them, but Illawarra also kind of sucked.
Yeah, look, potentially it's a thing with Davo where when he's a starter, he's probably the one you're going to leave open a little bit more. Whereas when he comes with that second unit, you're probably paying him a bit more attention compared to some of the other guys. Maybe it works in his favour to be a starter and and benefit from some of the stars around him. But that was a pretty big round of basketball considering not that many doubles.
Yeah, true. It was a big one. And like to see these scores up around getting close to 500. Look, people have definitely been on the right track. Just a reminder to pop into our Instagram. A little bit hard to see with the likes. So you've got to comment. Give us a fire emoji. Let us know whether you like Matrix or Hammer more. I don't care. It'll just make it easier when I put you into a randomizer and we draw it out tomorrow. And then we'll slide into your DMs and give you your Patreon subscription where, you can start to see some analysis from Hammer. You can get your trades rated. You can get access to all of these great things. But, mate, let's have a little bit of a chat about some of the players with the lowest break-evens, answer some questions, and duck off on this fine night. Look, when it comes to break-evens this week, of course, we do have to allow for the schedule. So we will...
Hang on. Are you doing question time without the little intro?
No. We're going into some break-evens.
Oh, carry on.
I don't have a break-even soundbite. But Angus Glover, minus 12 break-even. I don't think he's a bring-in, but I think if you have him, he's just worth a hold, correct?
Yeah, look, I think you can hold him another week. There's going to be more you want to do with your players on the court. But hey, look, if you had him on your bench last week, 55, I think he had, you'd be happy with that. Take the cash after holding him one more week and move on then.
Rob Lowe, similar sort of situation. 200K, negative 11, break even. Had a monster weekend, actually.
Yeah. Look, I think this is a week where you've got only 2 teams on the double. You can afford to carry some guys on your bench. You're not going to have everyone on doubles. So it's probably a really good time to just take those little extra cash rises because you're going to need them in the coming weeks. There's some big names we want to get on. The end of the year, if you have a look at the schedule, Adelaide go heavy and Illawarra go heavy. There's some teams where you're going to need some cash to pay out for these studs, and every little bit of cash gen you can make now is going to be absolutely worth its weight in gold come the end of the season.
I love how you exaggerated heavy because Montrezl Harrell and Kendrick Davis might cost $1 million, and I still want them.
I thought you were going to talk about Jarrell Martin when I said heavy.
Nah, let's leave that one there. I don't need him knocking down my door. Jackson McCoy and Chris Goulding still with -11 and -10 break evens, respectively.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Look, you go to Drimmich and you've got your Max Darlings and some blokes like that. There's lots of guys with low break evens that I don't consider Supercoach relevant. But two guys that we have chatted about today is Kareem Lopez and Sam Menenga. Heading into a double the following week, having some nice 3-round averages, still finding out their role, but still having a really good role and scoring 16 Supercoach points when whole teams are putting up 60. They scream holds.
Yeah, I think it's a hold. I don't know if I'd be buying Lopez now. The price is getting a little prohibitive, but I'm definitely holding. I'm going to ride this one out a little longer. Look, the break even for now is decent. This is one we'll evaluate week to week, but I don't think they're going to move him out of the role he's currently in. You're not going to bring back Max Darling now. He's been out for a while. You're not going to bring back, Mo King and take away Kareem Lopez's impact. When you watch him play, the length of this bloke, he's changing shots even when it's not on the stat sheet. And there's so many things that he does that the coach is seeing that's going to keep him out there, even if Supercoach wise, it doesn't translate. But if he's staying out there, it's going to translate one game or another.
Absolutely. Mate, that was easy. Let's give us question time.
It's question time. Let's answer your questions for the week ahead.
Look, I've got Nicola Goat Kick here. What's up, guys? Not really feeling Harrison. You know what? He's a big boy. Would have to move Henschel to bench and be forced into a Menenga start next week over Pinder. What do we think of fading for Cooks and Prather instead?
I don't think that Harrison's must own. I'll start with that. I think Pinder will probably give you just as much as Harrison. They've both been inconsistent. A lot of rocks and diamonds, and probably more rocks in this case. The center is weak, isn't it? We're moving away from Hurt. I think a lot of us had Hurt, which leaves Pinder and Harrison. I can't think of too many other options unless. No, I think that's it.
I don't hate Prather, but I would consider Bannon. Like, the issue you've got here is this starting Menenga over Pinder and things like that. Getting Menenga and Pinder down into the center spot and having Bannon up there at forward, I think that solves your issues just as much as Prather does. He's only 50K more. I reckon with moving out Jack White and some guys like that, you can probably afford it.
Yeah. Is Keandre Cook guard forward eligible?
No, he's just guard.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think probably what you said's the way to go.
Reese is asking, is Elijah Pepper a sell hammer?
Oh, probably not with the way the schedule is, and definitely not this round. But I think you need to have an exit strategy. I think he's probably peaked. You don't want to hold on too long that you're losing cash. And I think maybe after this round, when the schedule opens up, you could probably take the profits and pivot elsewhere. But this week, I'd be holding.
Logan's asking, he's thinking of getting Jalen Adams next week. What are your thoughts on this one?
Look, I can see you thinking. He played well last game. I saw a lot to like. We know he's had that lingering back injury, but I feel like he's as close as he's been to regaining form and regaining his spot in the rotation. The schedule, though. Talk to me about that, Matrix.
single into a double into a string of singles. That's why he's saying next week. I don't even hate like at 312K with a 28 break even on a single. I don't even hate bringing him in this week against Illawarra.
Look, I think a lot of teams will be starting some guards on a single. Look, for me, it's likely going to be PJC. But if you were to bring in JA and cop whatever this week becomes, you got two pretty premium guards next week on a double, and it gives JA another week to get his back right.
Well, he plays as many games in the next 2 weeks as Keandre Cooks. So, look, I'm not saying that one's better than the other, but Jalen Adams has been better at basketball. He's just been coming back from a back injury, got some inconsistent minutes, got injured, scored a 6. That's the reason he's 300K, not because he's shit. So,
can we trust Brian Gorgon though?
I think with what Sydney have been throwing up, I can trust him to play a healthy Jalen Adams and leave Tyler Robertson on the bench.
And what we have seen with Sydney is that rotation is starting to shorten a bit. Look, they play Illawarra this week. Illawarra haven't been, a really happy hunting ground for guards. But look, what do they call it? The Freeway Series always brings out some big games, and then next week you got Jalen Adams playing some pretty good matchups as well. So, look, I think it could be a nice little pod. He plays Cairns next week. They can't defend their own shadow.
No, that's could be honestly a captain option. So
Yeah.
Rob Funk is asking, yeah, I'm okay with going Montrez into Tyrell.
Yeah. Look, I think Montrez is probably at the peak of his price, so I don't think you're going to be getting too many more price rises. And you could bank the cash to bring him back in a couple of weeks when the schedule gets better.
Imagine turning 120K Pepper into you could turn Pepper nearly into Jalen Adams after that trade. That's what gets me excited about a Montrez into Tyrell. I think Tyrell might score a 55 on a double. Trezor's been scoring 40 on a single, but it's what you do with that money that makes that a good trade.
Yeah, definitely. If you look at the average over the two players and you're smart with that second trade, I think you can come out well ahead.
A flying toilet has one for you. Was Tassie actually really good, or were New Zealand just mega trash in that one?
Probably a bit of both. It wasn't really much of a game, to be honest. It wasn't enjoyable. It was scrappy. Tassie had some runs. That they actually hit some shots for once. They just take you out of what you're doing. New Zealand just looked like they didn't look like the team they have been all year. It just wasn't a great game.
A flying toilet always has some good questions. But it's asking about Lopez, when he gets to 275K and we need him to score 25 Supercoach points a night, can we trust him to do that when King is back?
I don't think King even factors into it. I just don't think you can trust him to put up 25 a night. The kid's 17. But I think you got to look at it as a whole. Some of us picked him up very cheap, not much above 115K. You're going to get a price rise at least this week, and we'll reevaluate it next week, depending on what the break even becomes. But look, I think you can at least hold for another couple of weeks without losing cash.
I think you've got to hold him through the double regardless.
Unless you're pivoting at the end of this double run to whoever's on the next lot of doubles. Like if you've made your coin and then you can downgrade, and like you said before, if it allows you then to get a Jalen Adams or it allows you to get a Kendrick Davis, that's when you got to extract the value.
Mate, IJ is asking, is Matt Hurd a trade out?
Yes.
And who's the buy?
That's the hard bit. Matt Hurd had a down round after already starting to lose cash. He's plummeting now. He looks like he's in a bit of a funk. The schedule's turning to shit. I think you bought this one while you can. Jump ship. Where we go, though, is the difficult part. This week, it's Pinder and Harrison are probably the two centres.
And Bannon?
Bannon's forward, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's forward. Matt Hurt's forward centre eligible.
Yeah. So as long as you can cover the centre spot, look, Bannon's probably not a bad option at all at forward. If you play him at forward, it opens up a few other options. You got potentially Prather. You can do, a little three-way switcheroo with some of those guys. But I'd be getting off. I just don't know quite where yet.
I asked you a question last week.
You did.
And I asked you a lot of questions. But I'm like Game Master. But is it...
Game Master?
That's exactly what I said.
Oh.
Is 4 Perth players too many Perth players? Now, Julian Anise is asking, he's thinking about using his third boost, which is Hurt, White and Doyle, to Bannon, Prather and Cooks, which banks $200K to get PJC next week. But he already has Harrison. Do we rate these trades? And I'm asking this again because is 4 Brisbane players too many?
Yes. Not because of the schedule, just because of the quality of Brisbane players. Look, Prather's been up and down. He's made a bit of value. Cooks, look, he had that great game with 41, but before that, there's not much to write home about. I just don't love anything out of Brisbane. They're horrible, aren't they?
Best thing out of Brisbane at the moment's the road out of it.
Yeah, we're going to have to look at this a bit more carefully, though, because their schedule is absolutely juicy. But, we got in this trouble last year when Cairns had that massive run, and we just loaded up on the Snakes, and we had Wardenberg, we had Menenga, we had an injured Taron Armstrong, and, 10 guys doing fuck all still equals fuck all.
Yeah, I think that you're going to, want Bannon or Harrison. I think you're going to want Cooks. I just think that you can forego a Prather and, what's the point of having 4 guys that you can play on doubles every week when we do get these 2 trades every week?
Yeah.
I would, if I'm bringing in all those guys, I would fade Cooks or Prather for 1 week, maybe even save a boost. And it would allow you to get Jalen Adams next week to pod all these people that are bringing in 4 Brisbane players. I think 3 tops with the caliber that Brisbane are.
I'd be more inclined to look at my bench with Brisbane, guys like Prather, potentially Keandre Cooks, and use them as quality bench players who occasionally, when you need to, can slip into your starting lineup. I wouldn't be putting them in the starters set and forget.
I got about as much confidence in Casey Prather as I do Ben Henschel, and I'm a Prather truther.
Yeah, 100%. And we've only probably started Henschel once this year.
Yep. Look, the couple more questions coming in, and then we're going to wrap up at around that hour mark that we've been trying to keep to. Ben Teo used to play second row for the Broncos, I think. Would you start Henschel, Prather, or PJC on a single? There's only one answer there, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's got 3 letters.
Jake is asking, do we think the Bullets should start James Bateman in the starting lineup more?
This is interesting. What do you reckon?
No, I don't think so. I think he's a better fit off the bench. I think Brisbane have played so much better since he has gone to the bench. I'm not like Asobi and DWJ. I'm not sure Cooks and Bateman, they do play minutes together, but I think they take away from each other too much.
Yeah. I think it's similar to having Norton in that starting lineup. It's similar to when he was the starting point guard beside Cotton. You just need that guy who's going to do the dirty work and facilitate and let the big boys, get their shots. I think Bateman and Kendrick, what's his name? Condre Cook are too similar. And we're almost in that, like you said, the Sobey, Derek Walton Jr. mix. But I would like to see a few more minutes for Bateman off the bench, especially in those games where he's got it going.
Absolutely. We have 10 seconds left to hit our quota.
Woo.
Mate, we are back again on Wednesday, and then we might get a little bit of a rest. I think it's the FIBA week.
Oh, looking forward to it.
So yeah, a little bit of a week off from us. But thanks for coming on every single week, guys. You guys are what makes the show. We'll be back again on Wednesday, same time again. Like, subscribe, leave us some love, leave us some stars on Spotify. Get onto our new Instagram page. You've listened to an Insight Fantasy Sports podcast. Cheerio.